So ultimately, to undo or to fix the entitlements, it's going to have to be bipartisan. And unfortunately, I think there's going to have to be blood in the streets. There's going to have to be a disaster, a calamity. There's going to have to be the threat that there won't be any money for poor people to get from Social Security, and then they'll fix it. But it's just a dumb it's a dumb thing to do, to wait a decade to fix this problem that is probably the most predictable mismatch of revenue and income and expenditures that we've ever seen. But it's completely predictable and fixable now, but everybody wants to push it off. And this really is both parties.
Yeah, I just don't want us to get to a calamity like we had in the UK, obviously, under Liz Truss. Could that lead to suddenly all the politicians paying attention to it and voters paying attention to it, the bond market forcing them to?
Yeah, I think that just recently, there was a bond sale, showed the rising interest rates, and also showed that the bids, the amount of bids per purchase was down, that there was less enthusiasm. I think these are all signs. Some people who look at the market, they think things, gradually this and that. And, one of the things people will point out about declines in the market is 80% of the declines in the last 80 years happened in 7 days. So we're not immune from cataclysmic things from happening. And so I don't discount there being a sudden loss of confidence in the dollar. I also think that people always had the ability to go into safe havens like gold, and they still do. Gold has risen dramatically in the last couple of years. But now I think people have decided, and markets decide this, people subjectively decide this, that while gold had value, they couldn't exchange it and move it around like they wanted to, and that the cryptocurrencies, to the mind of people in the markets, they've decided is a haven. And so I think you could see a time in which people say, well, I will still be able to have the advantages of the modern marketplace, but get away from government-backed and destroyed currencies. I think you could see even a more significant rise than you do see in Bitcoin is as people become alarmed with government insolvency.
Going to Trump, and I want to talk about Elon as well. How much influence does Trump have? First, actually, I'm going to go back a step. Do you think he still cares about the debt? He's dealing with a million problems. Scott Bessent seems to be very vocal about it. He talks about the 333 target. But is that really at the top of their agenda?
I think when you look at the big, not so beautiful bill, the top of the agenda was spending more money. And so debt was not the primary focus. Now, there were people in the House and people in the Senate who wanted to try to offset that new spending, but it made it very difficult for that bill to be fiscally responsible because they started out by spending $500 billion or more, and that's all going to happen. Savings is a projection and a prediction and an estimation. Doesn't always happen, the savings. Spending always happens. So we know the $500 billion will be spent. We also know that the tax cuts, while I'm for them, will cause some loss of reduction. If you have economic growth, sometimes you grow away, and most time you do. In 2017, we grew enough that we actually paid for the tax cuts. So I accept that. But there's enough new tax cuts in this that aren't necessarily pro-growth that I think you will see some dip in revenue from that, the $500 billion increase in spending, that you end up with something that's not fiscally responsible. So I don't think their primary focus was that. I mean, I see it all online now, and with these different factions. There used to be fiscal conservatives and free market people. Now those people are like, well, we just have to do whatever it takes. Doesn't matter what it costs to get rid of the illegal aliens, every last one of them. And maybe we shouldn't have any, and this is not me talking, but others say maybe we shouldn't have any legal immigrants anymore. We have candidates out there now spouting that they want to end legal immigration. These people are morons. I mean, these people are absolute idiots to think that the country could exist with no lawful immigration. And also to think that we would want to deny the brain power and brawn and ingenuity and work ethic that many people bring to this country. And that doesn't mean I'm for open borders or for floods of 8 million people. I commend the president for shutting the border down, the unlawful stuff. But boy, we need to get away and call people who they are and what they are if they want no immigration.
Senator, last question, or two quick questions, is mainly Elon's response to this. He called it a disgusting abomination. Now he's launched the America Party. What's your stance? What was your reaction when Elon first made those tweets? I want to get an idea of where you were that day when you opened your phone and saw the tweets on X. But more importantly, what do you think of his stance now and how far he went in his opposition to this bill?
You know, I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. Read his biography by Walter Isaacson. Fascinating person in our history, and really the kind of person that we should extol in the sense that, um, you know, great innovator, great capitalist, started all these industries. The work ethic that drives the guy, just phenomenal. Whether or not the third party is the right idea, I don't know. I'm willing to talk to him about his issues and ideas, but I'm not necessarily saying, oh, I'm jumping at the bit. You know, my family's been involved with third party politics. Some of my first experiences were in 1987 going door to, not door to door, standing in Walmart parking lots trying to get signatures to get my dad on the ballot in Massachusetts. So it's somewhat of a thankless job. The debate system is rigged. They keep you out of the debates after Ross Perot. They really did conspire, the two parties, to make sure another party would never get in. Could the internet and things like Twitter overcome that? Maybe. But I think that the main thing, as far as the way we look at figures like Elon Musk in our society, is when you think of that image and you see that image of a rocket coming back from space and being captured by those giant mechanical arms, that's the kind of ingenuity we should applaud. And we should be wanting kids to go to school to learn math and physics and computer science, to be able to do things like that, and to see that as a role model. Doesn't mean he's probably going to be right about everything in politics. I'm very open to discussing with him where he wants to go, though.
Senator, appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much and for everything you've done.